Chap. The rehearsal dinner had finally ended. The laughter downstairs had softened into the occasional burst of conversation as guests drifted toward their rooms. For the first time all day, Ashcroft Manor was quiet. I slipped out onto the balcony outside my room, wrapping my cardigan tighter around myself as the cool evening breeze brushed against my skin. The gardens below glowed beneath strings of fairy lights. From up here, everything looked peaceful, simple. If only life looked as neat as a wedding schedule. The balcony door slid open behind me. "I thought I'd find you here." I smiled without turning around. "You've started predicting me." "I'm getting better at it." Maddox stepped beside me, resting his forearms against the stone railing. Neither of us spoke for a while. We simply watched the moonlight settle over the gardens. "I needed 5 minutes where nobody asked me where the dessert forks were," I finally admitted. He laughed quietly. "I thought you liked being the hero." "I do. But heroes get tired too." His smile faded. I noticed. I looked over at him. "You did? You've smiled for everyone else all evening." He met my eyes. "You haven't smiled like that for yourself." The words settled somewhere deep inside me. "You notice too much." "I pay attention." I looked away before he could see my cheeks warming. "Can I show you something?" I asked. "Always." I unlocked my phone and opened my camera roll. Hundreds of wedding photos filled the screen. Flower arrangements, table settings, candles, cake sketches. Then, one photograph stopped me. Maddox, standing beneath the fairy lights during rehearsal. He wasn't looking at the decorations. He wasn't looking at the photographer. He was looking at me. His expression was so soft it made my chest ache. "I took this by accident," I admitted. "I was checking the lighting." He studied the picture. "You never deleted it?" "No." "Why?" I swallowed. "I don't know." That wasn't entirely true. I knew exactly why. I just wasn't brave enough to say it out loud. A small smile tugged at his lips. My turn. He unlocked his own phone. "You took pictures too?" I wasn't going to. He opened his gallery. There. It was me, laughing. Farah completely unaware he'd taken the photo. I'd been talking to Mia, my head tilted back, eyes closed with laughter. It wasn't posed. It wasn't perfect. It was me. I look ridiculous. "You look happy." I stared at the screen. "You kept it." I couldn't delete it. I looked up. "Why?" His eyes found mine, because every time I looked at it, he smiled. It reminded me that I'd made you laugh. Neither of us said another word. The silence wasn't awkward. It was full, comfortable. The kind of silence that only exists between two people who no longer feel the need to fill every empty space. Somewhere below us, the fountain continued its quiet rhythm. The moon hung high above the gardens, and for the first time since this wedding had begun, I wasn't thinking about schedules, or flowers, or my past. I was simply standing on a balcony, beside the one person who somehow made even silence feel like home. The quiet stretched between us, not uncomfortable, just honest. Maddox slipped his phone back into his pocket and let out a slow breath. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you." I looked at him. "The feud with Declan?" A corner of his mouth lifted. "You already know me too well." I leaned against the balcony railing. "I figured there had to be more to it." "There is." His gaze drifted toward the gardens below. "When we were kids, Declan was my hero." I smiled softly. "I can picture that." I copied everything he did. He laughed under his breath. If he played soccer, I played soccer. If he wore blue, suddenly blue was my favorite color. What changed? The older we got, the more different we became. He paused. "My dad always wanted Declan to take over the family business one day. And you?" "I wanted to build something of my own." He shrugged. "I started my own company after university. It did well, thought better than anyone expected. I think Dad liked that a little too much." I frowned. Declan thought he was being replaced. He thought I was trying to outshine him. "Were you?" His answer came immediately. "No." His voice was quiet. "I never wanted his place." He swallowed. "I just wanted him to be proud of me." My heart ached. "What happened?" We argued. His eyes remained fixed on the moonlit gardens. One argument became 10. 10 became years. Eventually, he gave a sad smile. We stopped trying. The words lingered between us. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "So am I." A cool breeze stirred the trees below. He looked at me. "What about you?" I knew exactly what he meant. I looked down at my hands. "I didn't tell you everything." "You don't have to." "I want to." I drew in a slow breath. People assume Declan and I broke up because we stopped loving each other. I laughed quietly. It would have been easier if that were true. Maddox listened without interrupting. He had a dream job overseas. I had just started Quinn Events. My business was finally taking off. I smiled sadly. We kept telling ourselves we'd make the distance work. But eventually we stopped talking about our future. We only talked about our schedules. The confession hurt more than I expected. There wasn't one big betrayal. No dramatic fight. I searched for the right words. Slowly became strangers. Maddox nodded. The hardest endings usually happen quietly. I looked at him. Exactly. A tear escaped before I could stop it. I laughed at myself. I promised I wasn't going to cry. You also promised we'd survive this wedding without complications. Fair point. Before I knew what was happening, he stepped forward, slowly, giving me every chance to step away. Instead, I closed the distance. His arms wrapped gently around me. Warm, steady, safe. I rested my forehead against his shoulder and closed my eyes. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The hug wasn't about fixing anything. It was simply about not carrying it alone anymore. When I finally pulled back, he didn't let go immediately. Our faces were suddenly very close. Close enough that I could see the tiny flecks of gold in his hazel eyes. Close enough to hear the quiet catch in his breath. He searched my face, not rushing the moment. Harper? Yeah? I don't want to assume. His voice was barely above a whisper. I don't ever want to guess what you're comfortable with. My heart fluttered. So, he smiled nervously, a side of him I hadn't seen before. May I kiss you? I looked at him for what felt like forever. Every sarcastic remark, every coffee spill, every late-night conversation, every laugh we'd shared. They had all led here. A smile found its way onto my face. Yes. He smiled back, relief and happiness written all over his face. He leaned in slowly, giving me one last chance to change my mind. I didn't. Our first kiss was gentle, unhurried. It wasn't fireworks or fanfare. It was a promise, a quiet beginning neither of us had been looking for. When we finally pulled apart, we were both smiling. So, I said softly. So, he echoed. I guess the fake dating thing just got a little more complicated. He laughed. I was thinking exactly the same thing. Below us, the fairy lights twinkled across the gardens. Tomorrow would bring the wedding. Questions, complications, and probably a little chaos. But tonight, for the first time in a very long time, the future didn't feel frightening. It felt possible.